Hello, everyone. I am Makeda Valletta, also known as the Renaissance Amazon, and I hope you all are doing well today. I'm currently live on my IG page at the underscore Renaissance underscore Amazon underscore 81. And I'm also live on my YouTube page, the Renaissance Amazon. So if you follow me on one page, but you don't follow me in the other, be sure to follow me on both pages because I don't always post the same content in both places, okay? So again, like I said, I hope you're doing well. So for those of you who don't know me, or maybe you're familiar with me in different ways because I do many things, I just wanted to say, today I want to talk about Ice Cube and his plan for his contract with Black America, okay? I want to do some critical thinking. So for those people who follow me, you know I'm about critical thinking. And what critical thinking requires is adequate research on both sides. I remember when I was in the 7th grade, I was in a debate team, I loved it. The first thing we learned was research both sides of the argument, right? And as a science person, I have a background in science, you learn to be open-minded and if you're truly doing science and looking at both sides, or you're not just looking for the things that agree with you. You want to hear what the dissent, the people who don't agree also have to say, right? So you want to do adequate research. You want to fact check, look at experts. You also want to put things into context, okay? Put things into context, and then do your very best to look at things objectively, subjectively, look at it from the outside, scrutinize it, okay? And then come up with your own thoughts of what you think makes sense. Observe the obvious. That's another thing, okay? So with that being said, I also want to say that a little bit about me is that I come from an activist family, okay? My mother is a union organizer. She works for the UAW. She's retired, but she still works with unions. She was a union organizer. Then she was a local union organizer. She represented the clerical workers at Columbia University in Barnard, the Women's Feminist Press, the Union Theological Seminary, the Museum of Modern Art. She had the first unionized TAs, which were at NYU in her union. And then my mother became an international labor rep. She counseled the presidents of other unions, and now she's retired, but she still works with local unions in New York. My dad, he was in the front lines of the civil rights movement, okay? So he was, didn't graduate college, kicked out of Florida A&M for being involved in the movement. He was a part of the organization that strategically put together the Black Panthers, which started in Alabama and at Oakland. The Revolutionary Action Movement, RAM. He was a part of that. He also was one of the founding people of the first Afro-American Studies department, and he was a professor of Afro-American Studies. And since I've been alive, he's been a journalist, and his activism has been through his journalism, right? My mom has been on the street, okay? My mother has been arrested several times for protesting police brutality in the 90s. My mom is 71, but she has been arrested many times and proudly, and still, pre-COVID, was still organizing buses of people to go to DC for different things, okay? And when I was in high school, and I forget this, my mom had to remind me of this. When I was in high school, the award that I got in my senior year or graduation was the Activism Award, okay? That was given to me. So I've always been an activist. I could go on and on about my work in that area, but that's also the family I come from. So I say that to say that, and also my mom being a union organizer, they work very closely with politics. I remember when I graduated from college in 2003, 2004, Bush came into office again, and my mom said to me, you know what? I feel sorry for your generation because the things that this man is about to do is not going to get changed in the next 10 years. It's not going to get changed in my lifetime. And when your generation gets to be my age, you guys aren't going to have anything. And I remember she said that. My dad always says, older people aren't fucking around with voting. They understand it. They understand what's going on. They pay attention to what's going on way more than younger people. Okay? And a lot of younger people, as much as we have so much technology and the internet, people are so fucking clueless about shit. You would think that with all this technology and all this access to information, people will be smarter, but they're not in a lot of ways. A lot of people are dumbed down because of the internet. Studies show that young people can't tell the difference between fact and fiction on the internet. I remember when I was in high school and college, the internet was not a valuable or reliable research tool. It wasn't something that we could even use. We had to go to the library and dig in the books. And one thing that I find is that the truth is really in the books. The internet has a lot of half-truths and people twisting things around, even when it comes to nutrition. For those of you who follow my work when it comes to health and nutrition, and you hear a lot of things that I say, it's not the typical things that you hear. And when you do a Google search, you're not going to find a lot of the things that I say, because the internet is flooded with propaganda. A lot of the truth is in the books, where people have well-vetted resources, sources, you know what I'm saying? They have citations for everything that they're saying. So now I want to say about Ice Cube, okay? I think that Ice Cube has good intentions, right? I do think that he has good intentions. And I will admit, when I first found out about it, my ears were closed to it, because I don't really respect Ice Cube or anybody from NWA at all, okay, in the first place. I don't respect him in the first place. So because of my not respecting him, I kind of brushed it off as foolish before I even looked into more of what was happening. So this is what I want to talk about. So the thing is that, and my issue with Ice Cube, and just the hypocrisy in Black America, okay? And the hypocrisy with Black men, okay? And this is not all Black men, because this is not my dad. My dad, I always talk about him. He's very pro-Black. He's in the front lines of the civil rights movement and Black struggles. He's a Black scholar, but he has always respected Black women in general, but he's always respected Black women, and always acknowledged the role that Black women have played in holding up our communities, okay? Black women have been in the front lines of everything, okay? We be there fighting for Black men. Now, you have a certain amount of Black people, okay, in the Black community who complain about how Obama didn't do anything for Black people, which I don't think is true, and I'm going to get into that. But yet, you give Donald Trump a pass. Yet, you think Donald Trump cares about you? You can't really be serious to think that Donald Trump cares more about Black people than Obama. You have to be foolish. Barack Obama married a Black woman from the south side of Chicago, okay? It doesn't get any more Black than that, okay? That is the soul of Black America, okay? So, very intelligent woman, okay? And then people try to say she's a man. I can't stand that stupidness, all right? And Barack Obama was an organizer in the streets of the south side of Chicago. I currently live in Chicago, very far from the south side. I live as far north as you can get. This is not my city. I'm from New York. But I don't feel like doing organizing work in Chicago I don't feel called to do that. I feel like the people from this city should be doing it. I really feel like it's their job. But for somebody from outside of Chicago to move deep into the South Side and decide to be on the street organizing, something is to be said about that. I'm sorry, that doesn't count for nothing. That's number one. Number two, a politician, president, congressperson, mayor, whatever they are, city council people, they are put into office, okay, to serve their constituents, to serve their people, okay? Somebody who was a community organizer, to me, has a better makeup and is more well-suited for the job as a politician, president, leader of the country, leader of whoever, than somebody who is poorly running businesses, okay? Donald Trump is a bullshit businessman. He's not even a good businessman in the world of people who know about business. The real business people, the real people with money don't respect Donald Trump. They don't consider him to be a good businessman. He's a liar. Let's talk about observing the obvious, okay? Everything Donald Trump has done since he's been in office is a lie. He's got caught in more lies probably than any president. There are thousands of pages of information of shit that he was doing with the Russians and them, fucking with our last election and putting out what? Propaganda, especially targeting Black people, which is what helped get him elected, because most Americans are ignorant. This is just a fact. Most Americans do not pay attention to what is going on in this country, what is going on with politics, and what is going on in the world. I notice when I travel to other countries, when I'm in Europe or whatever, they know everything that is going on over here, okay? And also, the whole world hates Donald Trump. In my lifetime, I've never seen, and I don't know if this happened before I was born, but I've never seen a president come into office and the whole world is protesting the president. Let's not forget, 4 years ago, the whole world was laughing at the United States and thinking that we are stupid. Like, how could you have let Donald Trump become your president? Are you people serious? Okay? And now when it's time to re-elect, you have certain people, especially black people and other minorities, but we're talking about black people, believing that Donald Trump has their best interests at heart. Let's observe the obvious, okay? First of all, Donald Trump comes from a racist family, okay? There's a documentary on Netflix about his family, about his father. His father was a noted Klan member. Donald Trump had housing in Queens that is beyond documented with the racism and the discrimination that they exhibited towards black people who were qualified, okay? And my dad actually had an uncle who worked in that facility. He was, there was definitely a lot of racism going on, and this is documented, okay? When, during the debates, you hear Donald Trump talk about how he ended the sensitivity programs. I thought it was for the police, but then I find out from Tamika Mallory, who's amazing, that this sensitivity training was for federal workers, okay? Donald Trump ended it because he thought that it was racist. He thought that, people are making our country look bad, okay? Him and then Pence in the vice presidential debates, with the look of disgust on his face at just denying completely that this country has a problem with systematic racism. Just completely denying it. Okay, so I want to say that I don't love Joe Biden. And Joe Biden did speak at my college graduation. I graduated from the University of Delaware. He was the speaker at our graduation. And I thought he did a great job. I liked Joe Biden back then. I thought he did a great job speaking. He gave a great speech. I liked him. I liked him when he was Obama's VP. Now he seems creepy. So he seems off. I don't know if he's just too old, but he seems off. Now, when people want to nitpick his record, any politician, there's not a single politician in office or in the world that you can't point to things that they did in the past that you don't approve of. Now, in defense of that, let's say that people's opinions change over the years. People learn and they grow and they change over the years. What somebody thought at 25 might not be what they think at 75, okay? That's number one. Number two, as a politician, you are supposed to do what your constituents want, okay? Even though we know that, of course, all of us, if we got into that leadership role, we might not always do what our constituents want. Sometimes we might do what we think is right. Like if you had a bunch of constituents who felt like black people don't deserve reparations, but you do, you might fight for it anyway, right? So we know that happens. But if you really look at what a politician is and how politicians are supposed to do what their constituents want, then with understanding that, putting that into context, it also is understandable how certain politicians can switch up their opinions on things over the years, okay? That's another thing. Now, I never knew that Joe Biden had a daughter. And I never heard him talk about her. But when I was looking up his kids and I saw his daughter has actually done a lot of work in civil rights in Delaware, okay? So to me, like, I don't believe that Joe Biden is not like Donald Trump, okay? He's a little clueless, okay? I don't agree with, I saw an interview with Kamala Harris in the past when they asked her about reparations, and she said that she didn't think, that we deserve reparations or whatever. So I have an issue with that too. And I feel like we need to hold politicians accountable completely. But there's a few things to understand. But I don't think that Biden and Kamala Harris are the same as Donald Trump and Pence. Looking at Pence's face in that debate, he looked like a damn Klan member. He looked so like an evil white supremacist Klan chief. Okay, I can't stand looking at Pence. His smush face is horrible. Okay, he is the face of racist ass, backwards ass, white cracker supremacy shit. Okay, and Donald Trump is the face of privileged white people who were born with a spoon in their mouth, especially from New York. He reminds me of the Upper East Side white people that I don't like. Okay, Donald Trump doesn't know shit about struggle, about having to work. Okay, Donald Trump's niece wrote a book about the family, which I haven't read. One of my aunts read it and she was telling me about it. And she talks about the family, about how Donald Trump's father always knew he was stupid. He wasn't gonna do well in school and all this stuff. Okay, so and when you're born with it, when you're a white man with a silver spoon in your mouth, with a family with money and connections, they can put you anywhere. Donald Trump wasn't smart enough to get into any university on his own. Okay, Donald Trump's father gave him millions of dollars as a business loan. Why do you think Donald Trump cares about you? Why do you think, I don't care if you're white or black, why do you think that Donald Trump cares about people who are poor, people who are struggling? Look at what he's doing with these stimulus checks. I mean, look at what Donald Trump did in Puerto Rico. Did we forget that when Puerto Rico had that horrible hurricane, first of all, he was arguing back and forth with the governor or the mayor or whoever, I think it was the mayor of San Juan or whatever. All I know is he was arguing with the politicians on the ground in Puerto Rico. He goes to Puerto Rico, disrespects them by throwing paper towels at them and acting like, oh, it's not that bad. And I remember back then I was annoyed with the leaders in Puerto Rico because I remember watching it on TV when Donald Trump sat down with those leaders in Puerto Rico, including the woman that he was arguing with. I don't know if she was the mayor of San Juan or whatever. They sat there in silence as Donald Trump insulted them and told them, well, you guys owe us money. You're in debt, blah, 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 blah. Donald Trump didn't even know that Puerto Rico was a part of the U.S., okay? And then he goes there and tells them how they owe us money and they're in debt and throwing paper towels. Who the fuck needs paper towels? That was insulting. And I couldn't believe that the leaders in Puerto Rico sat there and allowed that. But the Puerto Rico leaders on the mainland, the ones in Chicago, the ones in New York, the ones in the mainland were more fiery about what was going on in Puerto Rico. They were more vocal than the ones in Puerto Rico. Didn't understand that, okay? But I'm just saying, let's not forget that disrespect. Also, all the things that has happened, somebody said when they saw Pence, he looked like an alien, like some demonic alien life form. He does. I can't look at that face. You can't fucking tell me that Pence is better than Kamala Harris. You can't tell me that. Okay, that's ridiculous. And to the black people who try to act like it's the same, I don't know what kind of ignorance and level of self-hate you guys have, but it disgusts me and I can't associate with it. And I wish I could take those black people and put them the fuck over there. Let's have two countries then. Y'all go over there and live under Pence and Trump. I wish we could do that, but we can't. We can't. Life is not that easy or beautiful. But all the things that have happened, whether it be Ahmaud Arbery, okay, so Ahmaud Arbery wasn't killed by the police, but he was killed by white supremacists, okay? Whether it be the shit that happened in Charlottesville, whether it be all the black people who were killed by the police, Donald Trump has never once come out and denounced it, okay? What happened in Charlottesville was disgusting. He said there's good people on both sides. He's never denounced it. He's never, as a leader, he's never said, I'm sorry for your loss, this wasn't right, we need to do an investigation. No, he completely backs up the police. And I'm somebody who, I'm not, I look at things fairly. I'm not somebody that's completely anti-police, but yes, the police do need reform. The police do need to be trained differently. The police do need to be governed, and investigated by outside organizations, okay? And how does that happen? Laws need to change, okay? So like I said before, politics is not business, okay? And Ice Cube seems to think that as well, because when you say you wrote a contract for Black America, first of all, the government doesn't, the laws and the government doesn't work off of contracts. It works off of laws. In order for I read his contract and the things that he said. That's not as simple as the president saying, oh yeah, I'm with this, I'm gonna do this. And then he does it. No. People can't be that naive. Don't you understand? It takes lots of laws to be changed and passed. Lots of laws to be passed, to be written and passed in order for all these things to be implemented that's on his contract with Black America. Do you understand that we don't live in a dictatorship, okay? Presidents don't just say, okay, I want to do this and this, that is done. That's not how it happens, okay? It happens from people doing the work and working to change laws, and that takes years. I know this because my mom does that work. My mother and her union worked for years to get certain laws in place, only for Bush to come in office and overturn it all in a year. So you have people out here who are doing real work, community organizers, activists who are doing real work, spending years to get a law passed, only for it to be overturned, only to go back to the drawing board and keep fighting, okay? It's not, and so the thing that annoys me is that you got people don't know how to stay in their lane, right? Now, Ice Cube, like people that's from the streets, right? Like him. Somebody that's from the streets, they'll tell you. If you're not from the streets, you don't understand the streets. There's certain things that you don't understand. You're going to be naive. If you're not from the streets and you didn't grow up in the streets, then if you come around the hood doing certain things and you don't know how the street works, you're naive. You're going to get got. Everybody over here don't care about you, okay? Just because they're your color doesn't mean they're your kind. You can't be black from the hood of St. Louis and think, oh, I'm going to go to Oakland, to the hood of Oakland, and they're going to accept me because I'm black from the hood, but you from another city. They may not. They may hurt you. They may rob you. They may kill you, okay? People from the street understand that type of shit. And so if you were doing street shit, when it's street shit, people know that a politician or somebody who knows nothing about this can't come in here and know what they're doing. Ice Cube is not a real activist, okay? Ice Cube is has no background in politics or activism or doing that work. So you wake up and you have a great idea. Black Americans do deserve specific things for us. We do. I agree with that, okay? But the fact of the matter is that when you come in and you say, oh, you know, nobody's doing this, nobody's doing that, right? That's insulting to the people who've been doing the work for years. And the thing that he doesn't know is that, and I'll post this, some of these interviews below on my YouTube page. There are laws, like some of the things that's in Ice Cube's contract with Black America. There are groups who've been working on passing laws around a lot of those topics. Some of those laws only got halfway through Congress. Okay? Let's not forget that when Barack Obama was in office, every single thing he tried to do, Congress tried to block it. And let's not forget how when Donald Trump came in office, because of his immaturity, he wanted to dismantle every single thing that Barack Obama put into place. And just because things don't have the word black on it doesn't mean it's not benefiting black people. Like, for example, healthcare, okay? People's kids need healthcare. People need healthcare. Obamacare did help a lot of people, okay? I know people that it helped. The person who painted Michelle Obama's portrait, Amy, she's a good friend of one of my best friends, okay? And I knew who, was hearing about her from years before she painted Michelle's portrait. She needed a lung transplant, a heart transplant, I think. Was it a heart or lungs? I think it was a heart. For years. She was able to get it because of Obamacare. That saved her life. And then, lo and behold, she ended up painting Michelle's portrait, okay? That affected a lot of black people. Then when it comes to school loans, I remember my school loan payments were like $700 a month before Barack came in and did what he did, and my shit dropped down to like $160 a month, okay? I was living in New York City in 2012, paying $1,200 a month for an apartment, on top of all my other, utilities and all that other stuff, on top of $700 a month school loan payments, okay? That was hard, okay? It becomes a thing like, okay, am I going to live or am I going to pay back my school loans? You know what I'm saying? Barack Obama stuff helped with that. When Barack Obama saved the when he bailed out the auto industry and saved the post office, who mostly works for the post office and the auto industries in Detroit? Black people, okay? So also, with everything that's happening right now with COVID, people keep talking about how black people are so affected. And for a few reasons. One, what I talk about in my health videos, a lot of black Americans have underlying health conditions, but a lot of the things that people talk about is the access to healthcare. Donald Trump, that's not something he cares about, okay? Another thing that people talk about is how so many black people are frontline workers, okay? And a lot of black people have been affected by all these things closing because of COVID. Now, Barack Obama had put things into place to prevent this from ever happening, okay? What we're going through right now with this COVID stuff could have been prevented. I personally have a friend who's an MD, PhD, who's been researching coronaviruses for 8 years, okay? Who was one of the lead people working on trying to find a vaccine. Now, I'm not trying to take a vaccine. I'm just saying for those who want a vaccine or whatever. But he told me he was frustrated when this coronavirus thing first happened because he said, Obama had put, certain organizations had the funding to prevent this. Okay. And they tried to tell, the Trump people, whenever they tried to tell them this, they didn't care. Trump dismantled all of that shit. So this whole coronavirus fiasco didn't have to be this bad in this country if Donald Trump hadn't done that, because he just wants to be an immature little kid and deconstruct everything Obama put into place, not caring about how it helps people. We also have environmental problems on this planet, okay? When I was in the 7th grade, in my great New York City public school education that I got, okay, we had a class on global warming. It was a whole semester science class called Global Warming in the 7th grade. That was 1994 or something, right? Skip forward, all these years, and people are just now acting like they're just realizing we have an environmental crisis. This is something that's been known by scientists for a long time. Now, you can be black all you want to be, but you still live on planet Earth. You're still affected by what happens on planet Earth. And at the end of the day, when environmental problems get worse, who is it going to affect more? Black people, poor people, which is more poor black people, a higher percentage or whatever, you know what I'm saying? That don't have the money to just move and get away from the issue. All the black people that live on these islands, these little ass islands that's going to get washed away by hurricanes, and they don't have the money to just up and leave and mobilize and go somewhere else. That's privilege. Okay, Donald Trump doesn't care about the environment. He thinks all that's unimportant. So to me, all of that still matters. Okay. Now, I've said all that to say, right? We put all those facts out there. Now, I don't understand why it's a couple weeks before the election. If anybody understands anything about politics, how the hell is somebody going to tell you they're going to implement something that's so extensive? All the things that Donald Trump that Ice Cube put on this list, that Donald Trump said, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna do it." It's like, could you really be that foolish? You really think that he's serious? There's nothing that Donald Trump has ever shown, okay, in his whole fucking record, from being president to before that shows that he cares anything about uplifting black people or anybody in need, but especially black people. He doesn't even think racism or systemic racism is an issue. He says when people tell the truth about the history in this country, he says it offends the country, it makes the country look bad. There's a 1619 project that was clearly documenting all the things that have happened to Black Americans and how we've been disfranchised and robbed over the years, and how it's affected us. Donald Trump rejects all of that. He has a problem with it. So if he rejects all of that, if he ended sensitivity training for federal workers, if he's never spoken out about any of the injustices, the police brutality, the people, the Ahmaud Arbery's getting killed by white supremacists, the Charlottesville, if he's never denounced any of that, what makes you think that he's looking at Ice Cube's plan a couple weeks before the election? And it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go with this, and I'm serious. Not smart. Now, it's really dumb, okay? Also, it's true that no, you can't just work with the side that you want to work with. You know what I'm saying? You need to work with who's in power. But right now, we're about to have a shift in power, possibly. Okay? We don't know if Donald Trump is going to be the president or Biden's going to be the president. So to me, this conversation that Ice Cube is having should have happened during the primaries. Okay? That should have happened during the primaries or after the election. Okay, it should have happened like a year ago or after the election. So if Donald Trump is president again, which I hope he's not, then you can sit down and have that serious conversation with him about this. Because to do it right now, and for Donald Trump to say right now that he's going to do this, it's a clear move. It's a clear move just to get more black male voters. Okay? That's what it is. That's what he's been trying to do. He'll use any black man as a pawn, whether it's the silly ass Kanye West of the world, anybody else. Donald Trump's always looking for a black person to put on the stage with him to say, look, black people like me. He's looking for any way to do that. Okay, so Ice Cube to me is incredibly naive if he can't see that. Okay, and then I feel like, you know, he didn't consult enough of the activists who've been doing this work. I really love Tamika Mallory. There was a great interview with Tamika Mallory and my son on Hot 97, okay, a couple of days ago. If you haven't heard it, you should listen to it. She talks about the work they've been doing since Obama was in office, okay? Like I said, this is years. This is not something where you just elect a president and all your problems go away. So when people say, oh, Barack was president and shit is still bad for black people, like, it's not that you're going to have one president and all of a sudden all black people's problems go away. It's not that simple, okay? And it also is not just the president. It's all the elected officials. It's your local elected officials. It is the people in Congress. It's the judges. It's all of that. And voting is not just about voting for the president. It's also voting for all of these things. That's what government is. It's many different branches of government. We don't live in a dictatorship, and it's not just the president, okay? And so to think that not voting is an answer is so immature, okay? It's so ridiculously silly, because regardless of who wins, laws are going to get passed, and it's going to affect your life, okay? So to not play a role in it at all and then complain, you have nothing to say if you're not playing a role in it. A lot of people like to sit by idly, and I can say this even for the civil rights movement. You know, like I said, my dad was in the front lines of the civil rights movement. My dad is 78 years old. Most people my dad's age that I know weren't doing anything in the 60s, okay? They weren't on the front lines and risking their lives. They weren't. But they still benefited from those who did, okay? And to the people who I see some comments on YouTube with people trying to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, you don't know what you're talking about, okay? I'm sure you don't come from a family like mine. I'm sure that your parents didn't do the work that mine had, okay? I'm sure you didn't grow up around activism. I've grown up around this shit, okay? I've grown up around it. Now, and this has always been a part of my life, and I'm not a political expert, but I'm surely not stupid, and I know what I'm talking about, okay? Also, what was the other thing I was going to say? Losing my train of thought. So also when people say, oh, Barack was president and nothing changed for black people, it's like, first of all, ask every black person doesn't agree with that, okay? Black people are not some homogenous group. That's number one, okay? We don't all have the same concerns. Because frankly, I always see black women speaking up about black men, speaking up about the injustices of black men. I can't think of any times I've seen black men doing that for black women. I can't think of any times I've seen black men saying, you know what? Black women are dying in exponential proportions in childbirth. Something needs to be done about that. Never heard a black man talk about it, but I have heard Elizabeth Warren talk about it. That's who I liked. Elizabeth Warren spoke about a lot of things that mattered, okay? She was pro-union, all of these things. Pro-public school education, I'm all about that. But there are, you know, a lot of times when there's these black agendas, they leave out the black woman. It's very male-centered, you know? And a lot of black men don't even see that, you know? They don't, because they're still men. This is still a man's world. Even if you're a black man, you still benefit from male privilege, okay? So, and I feel like it's important to talk to all of the activists who've been doing this work. And some of the top activists who've been doing this work for years, he did not talk to. Yes, he spoke to some professors or whatever, but the people who are on the ground actively doing this work every single day, yo, I respect the people, you know, in Kentucky and everywhere else who have been on the street protesting day after day after 100 days straight. Have any of you done that? I've never protested for 100 days straight, but I grew up on picket lines, okay? I've seen my mother organize strikes, organize demonstrations that went on for months, that were extremely draining, and they got what they wanted in the end, okay? If you really want to be a fighter, you have to have the endurance to keep on fighting. This is not something of, oh, one vote and everything is perfect now. It's not something of one protest and everything is perfect now. No, it's ongoing work. Anybody who's been involved in activism and changing laws knows that. This is why you go to DC, you see lobbyists, all these corporations get paid people to go down there to do what? To push their agenda. Okay? And just going back to the beginning of when I said in the beginning I didn't respect Ice Cube in the first place, even though, and even listening to him speak, he's not anywhere near as eloquent as Tamika Mallory. He's not anywhere near as eloquent as, I saw an interview with him with Roland Martin, with a woman from Black Lives Matter. I forget her name. She's one of the organizers. And she was super eloquent, had her facts straight. Ice Cube, he has, like I said, he has good intentions, but he's mumbling, he's misguided, and he's confused, okay? He doesn't understand how politics works. This shit is not a business, okay? You don't just write a list of shit and say, this is the contract for Black America, and then the president signs it, and now you get everything you want. You can't be that naive. That's not how this shit works. Everything that he has in that plan will take decades to put into effect, from changing laws and fighting with Congress and all this. And like I said, more power to the people who are doing that work. Let's not insult them by coming in and saying, oh, nothing is changing. Nobody's doing this. Nobody's doing that. You don't know what people are doing, because he doesn't. Okay? And Donald Trump, and then when people say, oh, Donald Trump has done more for Black Americans than any other president, that's a lie. Anybody who believes that is foolish. And talking about him letting people out of jail. Okay, well, Barack Obama let people out of jail too, all right? But then people say Barack Obama didn't do nothing for Black people, right? But also, one point that Tamika Mallory pointed out was that on the front end, Donald Trump might be letting some people out of jail. But on the back end, he's stacking the courts with all these federal judges who are highly conservative and don't give two shits about Black people. So before people get to jail, they go through these federal judges. You go through these judges. And these judges are locking people up. So, okay, yeah, it makes it look good in the front. You're letting some people out. But in the back, you're locking them up and putting in the worst judges. Okay? Who becomes president also affects, the Supreme Court justices that go into office. I mean, they get put into place. These are permanent positions. So in politics, we can't be childish about this. You may not love the candidates. I don't love Joe Biden, but I like him a whole lot better than Donald Trump, okay? Like, Donald Trump, he's entertaining sometimes because he says ignorant shit. There's just, sometimes it's funny, but it's not funny. But we also deal with we have nuclear weapons to worry about. Wars with other countries. Okay, my dad was also ex-military, and he was in the Strategic Air Command, and he was in the group that was had the ability to press the button, okay, to blow up the Russians or whatever the hell. He knows a lot about nuclear weapons, and when you know a lot about nuclear weapons and you learn about that stuff, you realize at any second we could all be smithereens. We could all die, especially if you have some incompetent, immature person like Donald Trump in the White House. Okay, all of that affects us because we're still humans that live on planet Earth. And when people say nothing has changed for Black people over all this time, that's an exaggeration. And to any of the Black people who've been doing the work, do not agree with that, because they were present and active in changing certain things. We cannot say that shit is just as bad now for Black people as it was in 1950. That's not true, okay? Yes, we do still have lots of problems. Yes, we do still have lots of things to fight for. Yes, I do think that Black Americans, okay, Afro-Indigenous people, Native Americans, people of African descent, and like I say, all the Black people I know in America all have Native American blood too. So that's why I use the term Afro-Indigenous. Or if you want to understand that the Native Americans were the true Americans, then Afro-American is perfect as well, okay? Afro-American, Afro-Indigenous. We are owed, okay? Specifically for us, because I agree. It's not good to be throwing us in the bucket of minorities, okay? No, I don't like that. And that is one thing that Donald Trump, there are a lot of Black Americans who do feel as if something needs to be done about immigration, okay? And so Donald Trump, can appeal to a lot of Black people with that. Even though I think something needs to be done about immigration. I don't think that it needs to be the way that he's going about it. I don't think it should be, geared towards indigenous people from Mexico, Central America. I do think, I don't think that it should be geared towards Haitians, but I think that Africans, Europeans, Asians, people coming from the Middle East, people coming from across the ocean, they shouldn't be able to just come in this country so easily. But the Americas has an intertwined history. Haiti's history is intertwined in the backbone of the United States. Same thing with Mexico and the Americas in general. Okay, we have an intertwined history. Even during the slave trade, lots of Native Americans were shipped to the Caribbean. A lot of Native Americans from Turtle Island, which is North America, were shipped to the Caribbean and enslaved. Okay, a lot of people don't realize that. You know, you had people going from Cuba to Cartagena to Florida. Okay, you had people going from Haiti to New Orleans to Chicago. Okay, Chicago was founded by a Haitian man. Okay, so our history is intertwined. So I think that, you know, people from the Americas should be able to come here easier than people from across the ocean. But at the same time, the fact of the matter is, the sad truth is, most people who immigrate to America, black or not, do not care about Afro-Americans. They do not care about our plight. They do not know about our history, and they are unappreciative of the fact that they are benefiting off of our fight. They come to this country, they look down on black Americans, which I have zero patience for. Zero motherfucking patience for any immigrant from anywhere coming to the United States and looking down on black Americans. Black Americans have a lot to be proud of. For everything that we have been through, okay, we're actually in a good place compared to what, all the shit that we've been through. It's actually pretty impressive, okay? But because of white terrorism, we've lost tons of money on our land. You know, when a lot of black people went from the south to the north, a lot of land was lost because there are a lot of black people who stopped paying taxes in their land. They let it go because they thought the south was never going to change and they never wanted to go back down there. Now that land is worth a lot of money, okay? You know, we've been robbed the Freedmen's Bank. I mean, there's so many things. So we, in particular, are owed, okay? Then with Native Americans, of course, they're pushed on the most arid, depleted land in this country where you can't grow shit. Make them dependent on government handouts. You know, they're alcoholics and depressed and have high suicide rates. There are Native Americans who live on reservations who don't have running water or electricity, okay? And there are Native people who don't know who they are because there's a lot of black people who are really Native American and don't even know it, okay? They're not connected to their languages. So to me, I don't even like talking about who has it worse, Native Americans or black people in America. I don't like talking about who has it worse, black women or black men. I don't like, it's a pointless conversation because black men have a set of fucking challenges and things against them that is unfair and stressful. And so do black women, okay? We do too. And I don't like it when black men dismiss that and make it seem like it's easy for us because that is bullshit. That's a whole nother video for me to do. That really pisses me off too. Especially when black women carry black men on our backs. We fight for black men all the time. We hold down our families when black men leave or they're not there or whatever. So black women don't deserve that dismissal and non-support from black men because we always have black men's back. And I'm talking about as a general statement. I'm not talking about each individual black woman. Don't tell me about a black woman you know who did this, this, and that. I'm talking about when you look at who comes up and shows up in the front lines in these fights, black women are at the forefront. Black women are well versed in what black men are dealing with, okay? We don't get that same thing back. But like I said, I don't like to debate about who has it worse. I'm just saying black women have a set of stressors and problems in America, and so do black men. Native Americans have been done wrong and robbed and horrible things have happened, and they're owed more than the rinky-dink casinos or, you know, a few $1,000s they gave a tribe. And black Americans are owed specific things. So I totally agree that there needs to be certain things specifically for us. I think that Afro-Indigenous people shouldn't have to pay taxes or way reduced. I think that we should have free education to whatever school we want to go to, from elementary to college. Whatever school we want to go to, we shouldn't have to pay for it, okay? We should have preferential treatment when it comes to housing. And, you know, there's a lot of things that I feel like we are owed, okay? And I do have an issue with the fact that a lot of immigrant groups come here from other countries and they're given things over us. That is a fact, okay? So when Ice Cube brings these things up, this is true. These things need to be nipped in the bud. And it is true that neither party deals with it enough. But the way politics works is that you have to press politicians. You don't just vote and put them in office and then just hope they do what they say. It's a continuous process, of holding politicians accountable, staying in their faces. That's why you see people say, oh, call your elected officials, and write to elected officials and tell them this. Most people aren't doing that, myself included. I don't do it. And this whole thing is making me feel like I should be more involved. But we're supposed to keep pressing. Okay, you're supposed to keep pressing. You're supposed to keep fighting. This is not something simple that you show a contract to the narcissistic, neurotic president in office 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks before election, and he says, "Oh, I'm gonna do it," and you just think, "Oh, okay, yeah, so I'm gonna vote for Donald Trump because he's gonna do this." And the other thing is the whole separate but equal. At one point, this country believed, oh, we'll give Black people money as long as they stay over there, okay? As long as they start mixing with us and want, the whole playing field to be leveled out, that's a problem. And that's why Martin Luther King was killed. Not when he was talking about Black people, but when he was talking about all people. When he was talking about class, when he was talking about race, money and wage and poverty in this country. That's when they said, oh, no, he's saying too much. They can talk about Black shit all day. They don't care. When you start talking about the bigger problems, they care. Okay? And Martin Luther King actually worked very closely with the UAW, the United Auto Workers, which my mom works with. That was the union that he was working with, actually. And there's a whole history behind his work with unions that people don't even talk about. And Malcolm X, my dad knew Malcolm X well. Malcolm X was assassinated 5 blocks from where I grew up in Harlem, the Audubon Ballroom. 165th Street in Audubon. Okay, I grew up in Sugar Hill. One of the last speeches that Malcolm X gave before dying was that he was saying that we should go door to door in Harlem and knock on the doors. And any Black man who's not registered to vote should be pulled out of the house and publicly embarrassed. Okay? He felt like not voting was unacceptable. The Black people, the real activists, the people who have been on the front lines, the people who have risked their lives, all knew that voting was important. It's real easy for people to sit back on the internet and talk, okay, and complain, but you're not doing any work. Those are the people who think, oh, voting doesn't matter, I'm not going to vote, I'm just going to make money. If voting didn't matter, why are they trying so hard to suppress the vote in so many ways? Has anybody been paying attention to voter suppression this year? It's crazy in so many states. Why does it always happen in minority areas, in Black areas? Why? Why? If our vote didn't matter, why would they be doing that? There's a lot of corruption. Okay, there's a lot of corruption in politics, yes. There's corruption in politics in every country. Tell me, when people be saying they want to leave America and move somewhere else, tell me a country that don't got corruption in their politics. A lot of countries is worse. That's why people talk about they want to move to Africa. I don't want to move to Africa. No offense, Africa, but that's like moving backwards to me. Okay? A lot of those countries have even more fucked up shit going on with their governments and their politics and their corruption. Okay? Look what's going on in Nigeria right now. Like, also, my ancestors are from this land. So I'm committed to fighting for improving conditions on this land. If I run to another country, if every Black person that had a problem said, I'm going to another country, how are we going to fix the problems here? So in order to, it's easy to run. It's way more difficult to fight. And it's way more difficult to fight for years and generations. And so for me, given what I come from, I feel a duty to continue the work of my ancestors, okay? So for me, I take a lot of this stuff personal because I didn't come from family members who were sitting around twiddling their thumbs waiting for other people to do the work, sitting around complaining. I didn't come from family members who during the civil rights movement thought that Black people were wasting their time, because there were a lot of Black people who thought that. Nothing's gonna change, what are you doing? You know how scary that was for so many Black people who were on the front lines during that time? What they sacrificed? There's a certain weight that their children carry. And I know, because I come from, I know other people I know the children of other civil rights people and people who were very active during that time. All of them have gone to some form of activism. I have a cousin, my uncle Mike Thewell. He wrote the autobiography of Stokely Carmichael. Okay, my dad wrote the afterword. My uncle went to Howard University with Stokely Carmichael. Okay, and his son and daughter, both. His daughter, she is assistant DA in Chicago right now. Okay, and she's done a lot of work in Chicago around civil rights, Black issues, and domestic violence with women. A lot. Okay, so the people that I know, I grew up around Black scholars, I grew up around Black activists, I grew up around Black people who are on the front lines, and all of their kids continue that work, okay, or they're doing something, okay? It's almost like you feel an obligation, or your ancestors are on your shoulders. Your ancestors are holding you up. I don't know. So for me, I'm just saying, I need to say where I'm coming from with all of this, all right? And so I'm about to end this conversation, but I just want to go back to the beginning for clarity. For when I said that I never respected Ice Cube to begin with, I just wanted to say, as a Black woman, I loved hip hop in the 90s, okay? I was definitely a hip hop head, but at the same time, as a Black woman, we had to close our ears to a lot of shit, a lot of ignorant shit that a lot of rappers were saying. In NWA, they were some of the worst. There are songs, I was never a fan of NWA, but there are songs that people tell me about that they made and shit that they said that just absolutely disgust me. Then with Dr. Dre, and not only did people know he beat Michelle A. and Dee Barnes, but there's other female rappers and stuff that I found out about that he also beat. But what he did to Dee Barnes was disgusting. Okay, that shit, he beat the shit out of her and publicly and sexually assaulted her in front of other people. And there was a guy who tried to help her, and Dre's bodyguards hit him in the mouth with a pistol, knocked his teeth out. Okay, he picked this little woman up by her head and beat the shit out of her. Okay, and because of some shit that Ice Cube said, and then AIDS-infested Eazy-E, it's good that his ass fucking died. Fuck him too. He's gonna go on MTV and say, "Oh yeah, she deserved that, and if I see that bitch again, she's gonna catch it again." I can't stand that. I mean, I really hate that. People talk about R. Kelly. No, I hate that shit more than anything. Okay, that shit is fucked up. And I never saw Ice Cube, and if he did, please somebody show me. But I never saw him apologize for what happened. And people, he wasn't in NWA. I fucking know he wasn't in NWA, but the shit happened because the shit he was saying. And for him never to even apologize for that ruined her life. She never recovered from that. Her whole career was done because of that. Imagine you getting beat by somebody and then you get shunned. Like that should be happening in the Congo. Women get raped and then they act like, oh, in other parts of Africa where women get raped and they act like, oh, you're disgusting. You're an outcast in society. When you got raped, you're the victim. How now you outcast, not the rapist? So how is it that Dee Barnes gets shunned and her career is over, but not Dre? And even if I've never seen Ice Cube publicly denounce it or speak about it, but even if he did, I saw he just made a song with Dre a few months ago. So like I said, I don't give a fuck about Ice Cube anyway, okay? I don't. I really don't. When I think about, rappers who were that type of disrespect and ignorant ass shit they were saying, and again, most Black men don't care. When you try to have this conversation with a lot of Black men who are around my age, they don't care. There is a depth to that because it didn't concern them. Oh, they're just talking about girls in the hood. You know what I'm saying? You're putting out music that influences people, okay? So I don't respect that. So I just need to say that, okay, to begin with. But despite that, I stated my issues with Ice Cube's approach. I think that if Donald Trump became president and then he wanted to sit down and try to talk to him then and see if he actually took it seriously, which I bet anybody, any amount of money, Donald Trump is not taking that shit seriously. And I bet anybody, any amount of money, he's not going to try to implement none of that shit. Okay? And I hope that we don't live to see Donald Trump become president again to see if I'm right. Okay? I really don't. Now, but it is true, whoever is in power, if Donald Trump were to win again, yes, you got to deal with the person that's in power. So if he were to win again, then yeah, you do want to be pressing him. But I bet you ain't getting far with Donald Trump talking about no racial issues and inequality for Black people and we deserve this. Donald Trump's ears are deaf to that. So a lot of people, especially, some of these black people out here need to smarten the fuck up. Y'all don't understand how politics works. You don't understand organization. I bet you when I say that, I bet you it's not a single person. The people who disagree with me, I bet you've never done any organizing before. I bet you haven't even been around it. Okay? And if there is somebody who disagrees with me who has an organizing background, please let me know. Okay? I dare you. Anyhow, if you learned something from this video, please like it, please share it. If you're on my YouTube and you don't follow me on IG, be sure to follow me on IG at the_Renaissance_Amazon_81. And if you're on IG, you don't follow me on YouTube, be sure to follow me at the Renaissance Amazon. Okay, people. Now go vote. Okay, it's important. It's important. Use your critical thinking skills. Fact check. Okay, look at the bigger picture. Check out the work of Tamika Mallory. Okay, and my son. All right. All right, people, let's stay strong. Let's keep it pushing. To the real fighters out there, let's keep on fighting. Let's keep on moving forward. All right, have a great day. Bye.